Why make homemade chicken stock? Because it's delicious, and nothing compares that you buy in a box or in a can to homemade chicken stock. And you can use it for so many things. The base for so many soups, different soups, vegetable soups, chicken, of course, chicken noodle soup, but for sauces and for stews, and it's just a great thing to have on hand. And it's freezer friendly. So we're gonna get started. Pretty simple. Watch how fast this comes together. Okay, we're gonna start with the star of the show, chicken. So we have a full chicken here, and I'm just gonna put it right in the pot. So far, so good? Right, okay. Stand by. Okay, I just washed my hands because I touched the chicken. Now I'm gonna touch the vegetables. So here we go. Okay, we're gonna cut the onion in half. And then because this is a large onion, I'm cutting it in thirds. And that goes into the pot. And I kind of like to loosen up the onion a little bit. You don't have to. You do not have to. It's not important, but I just like to. Okay. Next up, the celery. Big chunks, not a big deal. And the reason we're adding all of this to the pot is because it gives it wonderful flavor. These are called aromatics. Fancy word for flavor. And see, I'm not even peeling the carrot because it's not necessary. I'm also cutting that in chunks. Into the pot. Another carrot. All right, I've got 2 cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna lightly whack it. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna get another one because I just whacked one right across the floor. So we'll try that again. Good, we just whacked it. We're just letting out the flavor a little bit on that. Okay, next, 1 bay leaf in, salt in, and water. Okay, I've added 12 cups of water. The amount of water that you put in could vary. It depends on the size of your chicken. All you really want to do is cover the chicken. And I've covered it, it's about a ½ inch of water above the chicken. And that's all we really want to do. So now all I'm going to do is turn on the stove. I'm going to turn it on fairly high. I want to bring it to a boil. Once I get it to a boil, I'm going to bring it right down to a simmer. It's going to simmer for 4 hours. And it's done. It's done. That's it. That's how you make chicken stock. We're about 45 minutes in, and I just wanted to point out a couple of things. So we've got the lid. It's a jar. We just want it to steam out a little bit. Good. Take that off. I just wanted to show you what a simmer looks like. I'm sure you know what a simmer looks like, but just in case you don't, this is what a simmer looks like. I take the lid off, and the smell, it's so comforting. It's literally, it smells like chicken soup. It's great. What a wonderful thing to do on a Sunday afternoon, you know? Okay, and then in about an hour, 2 hours, you might want to or need to add a little bit more water. We just see how the liquid is just underneath the top of the chicken. This is perfect. But because we leave the lid ajar, steam comes out, which means water evaporates, which means we may have to add a little more water, and that's okay. We just don't want half the chicken out of the liquid. So we'll just keep an eye on it and keep going. So that's that. It's been a little over 4 hours now, and I turned the stove off and just let the soup sit for a little bit. The reason I did that is I just don't want it scalding hot when I pour out the liquids from the solids. So the next step is what we're going to do is we're going to bring this over to the sink and separate the two out. So this is what it looks like once it's been cooking for 4 hours. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and separate the solids from the liquid. The reason I'm doing this in the sink is because for me, I have a little more control this way because it's lower. Not to mention the fact that it sometimes splashes, so it's going to splash right into the sink as opposed to all over the counter. So this is how we do it. I'm going to take a ladle and I'm just going to start to ladle the broth into the sieve. Okay, so we have our stock. We have all of the stuff that was inside the stock. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the fridge and let it cool off completely. And then we're going to skim off the fat. Next, I know it's not very appetizing looking, but honestly, once we get through this, they'll be fine. This is kind of my favorite part. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out the vegetables and I'm going to pick out the meat and put it in a separate bowl and then discard the bones and the fat. Now the vegetables, for me, are delicious. They melt in your mouth and there's so much flavor. I've let this really cool off so I can get my hands dirty. All right, I have finished separating the stock from all the other stuff. And here's all the other stuff. And I know this is actually kind of gross to look at, but this is all that's left from that big pot of stock that we did. That's essentially all garbage. So I went through it, and what I've got is a nice pile of chicken here. And again, my favorite vegetables are very, very soft, but they're very, very good. So what can we do with this chicken? Well, we can throw it into a chicken broth and make chicken soup with it. They make great sandwiches. It's fantastic in a Cobb salad or a chicken Caesar salad. So there's lots and lots of uses for this. So that's why it's worth picking through. Last but not least, the stock. We've put it in the fridge, and that way the fat is all settled at the top, and now we can take it off and skim it off. And if you take a look, you'll be able to actually see that's fat right there. And that's okay if we get a little bit of broth, it's okay. But we're gonna skim it off. And by the time we're finished, we should be looking at a clear top. Okay, we got most of it off, 95% of it off. And this bowl shows you the fat. And now what we're sitting with is a beautiful stock. So again, we can make, it's a great base for a soup. It's fantastic for stews, great to make sauces, easy to freeze. It lasts up to 4 or 5 months in the freezer, 4 or 5 days in the fridge. And there you have it. A beautiful, beautiful chicken stock.